Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. The gang from Mystery Inc. was in a dark, eerie castle. They thought they'd caught the slimy moat monster. But then, Daphne, Fred, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby looked closer. Something was wrong. So they tugged here and there, and off came a mask. The monster was just an ordinary man in a costume. The monsters and ghosts always turned out to be the bad guys in masks. Daphne, who was now a reporter, was telling the host of a TV talk show. It got boring. That's why the Mystery Inc. gang split up. But Daphne hadn't totally given up on finding real ghosts and monsters. Yet. "I'm doing a new series of shows," she told the host. "Haunted America, and this time I'm going to find real haunted houses." But Daphne was sad. Ghost hunting without her old friends wouldn't be the same. She missed the gang. Fred, who worked with Daphne, had an idea. Shaggy and Scooby had new jobs now. They worked at the airport, making sure no one tried to smuggle illegal things into the country. Their favorite find? Food. Shaggy and Scooby took a break to watch Daphne on TV. "Like, we really miss you two," Shaggy said to Daphne on screen. "Rah," Scooby sniffed. Then, Shaggy and Scooby went back to work. Scooby sniffed through some baggage. He pulled out a big wheel of cheese. He and Shaggy were hungry, so they ate the cheese. Later, their boss walked in. He was angry. "You ate the evidence! You're fired!" "Fired?" Shaggy and Scooby sobbed. But just then the phone rang. Things were looking up. Velma's new job was selling books at Dinkley's Mystery Bookshop, but she was bored. Solving mysteries is a lot more fun than selling them, she told herself. The phone rang. "Jinkies!" she exclaimed when she heard Fred's voice. "Count me in!" The next day, Fred drove the Mystery Machine van to Daphne's home. She was ready to start work on Haunted America. Then, Fred flung open the back doors. "Surprise!" shouted Velma and Shaggy. "Reprise!" barked Scooby. The gang was back together. They were off to New Orleans, Louisiana, a city with great ghosts, real haunted houses, and yummy food. Well, at least the food was yummy in New Orleans. Everything else turned out to be fake. The ghost Fred and Daphne discovered at a seance was really a picture from a movie projector. The man-bat was just a crook trying to keep people out of the cemetery. Even the ghost captain aboard a riverboat turned out to be a woman in a costume. Daphne was dejected. "I need to find a real ghost for my show," she told the gang. While Shaggy and Scooby searched for a snack, Daphne, Fred, and Velma sat in an outdoor market. Suddenly, a woman came up to them. She was Lena Dupree. She worked as a chef on nearby Moonscar Island. "It's a place," Lena whispered, "that's haunted by the ghost of the pirate Morgan Moonscar." Lena invited everyone to visit the island and see for themselves. They had to take a ferry boat to get there. Jacques, the captain, pointed to the murky water. "People go into that bayou and never come out," he said in a low voice. Then Lena saw Scooby. "You have a dog," she interrupted. She wasn't happy. "Frog?" Scooby repeated. "Where?" Lena scowled. "My boss, Miss Simone Lenore, keeps cats." "Like, don't worry," Shaggy told her. "Scooby is great with cats." Soon, Moonscar Island loomed in the distance. Fred began to videotape the dense trees, swamps, and hanging moss. It was a perfect place for ghosts. Simone's house seemed perfect too, a big, grand mansion crawling with cats. "Rats!" Scooby said excitedly. He streaked toward them, tearing up the garden. "Hey, you mutt!" Bo the gardener tried to stop him, but Scooby chased one cat right up the stairs, right into the arms of Simone Lenore. She was not amused. Shaggy took Scooby to the kitchen to keep him busy, while Simone gave the others a tour of the house. "The island is deserted now," she told the gang, "but a long time ago, it was a hot pepper plantation. Once, it served as a Civil War barracks for soldiers. Another time, it was used as a trading post. It was even a pirate hideaway. There were rumors that Morgan Moonscar hid treasure on the island. Suddenly, Simone's story was interrupted by screams echoing through the house. "The guys!" exclaimed Velma. Everyone rushed to the kitchen. Scooby pointed a shaking paw at the wall. The words, "Get out!" were carved into the wood. "Ghost writing," Shaggy explained. A cold wind whipped through the room. Fred began to film everything. All at once, a strange ooze seeped out of the wall. The ooze formed one word, "Beware." When Fred played back the tape, a ghostly pirate with a moon-shaped scar came into focus. "It's the ghost of Morgan Moonscar," Simone declared. "No, it's just a guy in a pirate suit," Fred protested. "He's trying to scare people away from the treasure." "But why did he only show up on tape?" Scooby and Shaggy were nervous. "We're getting some food," Shaggy said. "To go." Scooby and Shaggy carried sandwiches and potato salad outside, but before they could eat, the cats ran off with the potato salad. In a flash, Scooby charged after them. Through a marshy stream, around some logs, back to the grounds of the house. "Stop, Scooby!" Shaggy tried to catch him, and they both stumbled headlong into a deep hole, shaped like a grave. "Hang on, Scoob," Shaggy reassured him. "I'll have us out in a sec." Shaggy grabbed a root sticking out of the dirt wall and tried to pull himself up. Rip! The root tore free. Shaggy fell on Scooby. Dirt rained down, leaving a big empty space in the wall. Then, a skeleton hand floated out, and the skies darkened. More bones drifted over the grave, and, suddenly, the ghostly ooze wrapped them all together to form Morgan Moonscar. Zombie! "Ah!" wailed the zombie. "Rah!" screamed Scooby as a ghostly hand snaked toward him. Shaggy jumped on Scooby's back, bounced off his head, and out of the grave. Then he grabbed Scooby's tail and yanked him out too. Still screaming, the two bolted for the house and barreled straight into Bo the gardener. Hearing the cries, the rest of the gang raced over. "We saw a zombie!" Shaggy shouted. Everyone looked at Bo suspiciously. He had been awfully close to the scene. Hoping for a glimpse of real zombies, Daphne wanted to stay the night. Scooby and Shaggy had already seen enough. They wanted to leave. Now! But when Lena offered to make dinner, Scooby and Shaggy changed their minds. Everyone would stay the night. Velma, Daphne, and Fred noticed something weird when they went upstairs to unpack. Little bits of their clothing were missing. A part of a tie, a piece of cloth. But they didn't stress. What was the big deal when there was a zombie ghost? When they came down to dinner, Simone frowned at Scooby. "The dog will have to eat outside," she said. That was okay. Shaggy and Scooby would take the van and find a quiet place to chow down. Later, everyone heard screams and the sounds of the van screeching through the woods. Daphne, Fred, and Velma dashed into the darkness. "Scooby!" they called. "Shaggy!" All at once, a shadowy figure stepped into their path. Bo! Velma glared at him. He was right at the scene. Again! She was going to keep a close eye on him now. Deep in the woods, the gang found the van, but Scooby and Shaggy were gone. Suddenly, a pirate zombie grabbed Daphne. She flipped the creature over her head, and he crashed into the ground. Then she heard a noise. More zombies, Daphne thought, flipping another body, but this time it was only Shaggy who landed, splat, on the zombie. "Zoinks!" he cried. "Take it easy," said Fred. "It's just a mask. I'll show you." Fred pulled and tugged as hard as he could. The zombie's face stretched and then snapped back into place. Fred gasped. This zombie was for real. Shaggy and Scooby bolted away as more zombies rose from the water. Civil War soldiers, pirates, all different kinds. Fred lifted his video camera to film them, but then he heard Lena screaming back at the house. Racing to help Lena, Fred accidentally dropped the camera into quicksand. "Oh no!" he cried, but he kept on going. Finally, the gang reached the house. They found Lena in a secret passageway. "The zombies dragged Simone away," Lena told them. The gang sped through tunnels, dodging zombies as they searched for Simone. They stepped into the entrance of a cave. It was a strange place with a large cat statue standing on an altar. Something weird was definitely going on. "Voodoo!" Velma exclaimed. She turned to Lena because suddenly Velma guessed the truth. And Simone wasn't dragged away. When someone is dragged, they leave long heel marks. But I only saw footprints of someone walking away. Just then a door slid open. "Very clever, Velma," Simone said. She was standing next to a giant moon dial. "But it's too late." Simone held up wax dolls of Daphne, Fred, Velma, and Bo. Each doll had a piece of that person's real clothing attached. The pieces had been stolen from the gang's luggage. They were used to make magic voodoo dolls. Velma knew that the dolls could force them to do things they didn't want to do. Quickly, Simone wound twine around the doll's arms and legs. The four looked around, wild-eyed. Now they couldn't move. If the gang could destroy the dolls, the voodoo spell would be broken. Simone pointed to the moon dial. "At midnight, the ceremony to drain your life forces will begin. Then Lena and I can live forever." "You see," Simone continued, "Lena and I helped settle this island long ago. But then the pirates took over." She nodded toward the cat statue. "We wished for revenge, and we became cat creatures. We can live forever as long as we have victims." The zombies, Velma realized. Moonscar and the others had been victims too, and they were only trying to help to warn the unsuspecting gang. The moon dial read midnight now. It was time. Simone and Lena slinked closer to the foursome. Suddenly, their clothes tore free, and the two weird women turned into hideous cat creatures. Monsters! Just then, Captain Jacques, another cat creature, chased Scooby and Shaggy inside the cave. "Oof!" cried Shaggy as he accidentally kicked the wax dolls. Velma strained to reach them. Almost. She had them. But she had to work quickly. Lena and Simone grabbed Scooby and Shaggy, ready to drain their life force. Suddenly, the cat creatures were flung against the wall. Daphne and Velma had turned the tables on the evil twosome and changed the voodoo dolls into Lena and Simone dolls. "No!" howled the monsters as the shadow moved past midnight. Their skin wrinkled and they grew instantly older. Finally, Lena, Simone, and Jacques too turned into dust and blew away. Zombies stumbled forward. "Thank you," one of the soldiers whispered. A gusting wind blew through the cave. The ooze lifted and the skeletons crumbled onto the floor. "Zoinks!" Shaggy said. "What happened to them?" Velma smiled. "They can finally rest in peace." Later, Bo led the gang back to the ferry. "I'm sorry we suspected you," Velma told him. Daphne nodded, but she was thinking, too, about her show. They'd actually seen real live ghosts, but they had no camera, no film, and no proof. "I've got nothing," she told the others. "And the police will never buy this story," Velma added. "Don't be so sure," said Bo, taking out a police badge. "Detective!" Daphne grinned. "Have you ever been on TV?" The end.